Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for our police reform listening session. On this evening, I hope to let you know what is going on in Delaware as far as police reform, and also allow you to hear from some Delaware residents personally on why there is such a need right now and a sense of urgency to have police reform. So, just to understand what's being done in Delaware, I want to explain two terms to everybody that's watching. The first term is called LEOBOR. It is the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights. Now, LEOBOR is intended to protect American law enforcement personnel from investigation and prosecution arising from conduct during official performance of their duties, and provides them with privileges based on due process additional to those normally provided to other citizens. It was first set forth in 1974. 15 states currently have versions of the Bill of Rights in their statutes. Critics say that LEOBOR makes it impossible to discipline or remove bad officers, including but not limited to after they have been convicted of felonies in their courts. Under LEOBOR, officers are judged only by other officers. LEOBOR prevents the formation of civilian review boards that give civilians oversight over police actions. And this is a major issue, and you'll hear why in a moment. Another term that I want to make individuals familiar with is FOIA. FOIA is the Freedom of Information Act. Since 1967, the Freedom of Information Act has provided the public the right to request access to records from any federal or state agency. It is often described as the law that keeps citizens in the know about their government. Government agencies are required to disclose any information requested under the FOIA unless it falls under one of 9 exemptions, which protect interests such as personal privacy, national security, and law enforcement. That is also a problem. And we need to amend LEOBOR and FOIA in Delaware. And one of the reasons that we need to amend LEOBOR and FOIA is that police departments across the state of Delaware will be more transparent and held accountable. For why, you might ask? I'll let Marquise further explain his experiences with the police.
How you doing? My name is Marquise Grayson. I'm a former Network Connect employee. I feel like police brutality is especially important to talk about because it affects all of us. And my experience with it is extensive. I feel like no one should have that statement be their truth, but it's mine. And the amount of force that police officers use in my community, I feel like it far exceeds the appropriate level. There should be a change. I would love to be a part of that conversation. That's why I'm here today. Since I was little, I've seen excessive force used on those predominantly of color. When I was 6 or 7, police raided my home while I was asleep, and like it woke me up. So I wanted to see what was going on. I don't really remember a lot of what happened, but what I do remember is that there was an attempt to arrest my mom, and my mother asked for what reason. And I guess it got to the point where they grabbed my mom out of the home and ended up slamming her on the ground to the point where she needed to go to the hospital. I was rushed out the home by my grandmother, so I didn't really see what happened after the commotion was over. But I feel like that really affected how I see police officers in my community to the point where I had like a fear. And like, you know, a lot of my friends have the same experiences. So like when we see police officers, it's like a mood. It changes our mood because it's been plenty of times where I've been pulled over. Well, not pulled over, but I've been stopped while I was walking and questioned for things that I'm possibly doing. Like one officer told me that I had to go home because he thought I was selling drugs or something he thought I was doing. Another time, my mom was talking to my sister about how she shouldn't have left something at the house or something. I don't really remember, but the police officer came over to me, my brother, and my sister, and asked and had told us that we needed to be quiet or something because my mom was loud. And my mom had told him that she got freedom of speech and he needed to stay out of her business and stuff like that. So he told my mom that he was going to arrest her. And my brother had said something to him. And it got to the point where there was like an altercation between my brother and the officer, and my brother had ended up being tased by a different officer that had came into the situation. I believe that it wasn't necessary for that amount of force to be used. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say. I feel like the something should change with police officers to where they could be maybe have a different type of force use, maybe, because I feel like they're hurting our community. And I feel like there's not any trust with police officers. I feel like that should change.
Oh man, I just want to thank you so much, Marquise, for being willing to share your experiences. And I totally agree with you. Something does need to be changed. Um, as I stated earlier, there are only 15 states who have versions of a LEOBOR statute, but only Delaware statute. Delaware is the only state whose statute makes eternal police investigation records completely confidential forever. Other other states limit confidentiality to ongoing investigations and permit release of final decisions to terminate, demote, or suspend, or permit disclosure upon consent of the officer or court order. Indeed, the public record access laws of the vast majority of states without LEOBOR statutes makes records of final disciplinary decisions to terminate, demote, or suspend public. Delaware is not in sync with the rest of the nation in its LEOBOR and FOIA statutes and should be amended to allow for police disciplinary records to be made public. Not only that, it should be amended to allow for the creation of effective civilian review boards. Like Marquis said, he didn't think that use of force was necessary. And more than likely, anyone who was viewing it from a perspective outside of a police perspective would feel like that use of force was unnecessary. But we can't do nothing when we have police investigating the police. And I keep emphasizing that because there are just so many incidents that go on in our communities, right? All over our communities. And I just would like to allow Kiara and Adriana now to share their experiences with use of force with the police.
Hi, my name is Kiara. I am a current employee at Network Connect. I personally don't have any situations where I have been abused by the police. But I do have a story to share from my friend. And I think that is very important. So my friend came into work last week saying he was walking to work and then he got stopped by the police. Mind you, this was one of the nicer days. Everybody, was outside. Everybody was feeling good. As you should, I was feeling myself too. It was feeling nice. And he said that they stopped him and they asked to pat him down. And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't have anything to hide. I don't have nothing on me, this or that or whatever. And he came to work and he told my boss that, and my boss was like, don't ever let them pat you down, especially not with somebody else being present, because they can plant something on you. And that just goes to show like that they like really hate us, because there have been multiple cases where, because I try to stay, you know, updated on stuff like this, where police officers have planted stuff on, like during like searches and stuff. And I feel like that shouldn't happen, because it's like, why can't we go outside in nice weather and just enjoy the weather and be outside after being in a house during the winter and stuff? Why can't we go outside and enjoy the weather without the police stopping us and asking us, can we strip search you, or you need to go in a house, what are you doing? That should not be happening. And I really am scared to my life that it will happen to me, because I know I'm not exempt from that type of treatment at all. Like sometimes when I'm outside, like walking my dog, and I'll see a police officer, I'll start getting real nervous. I'll you know, say hi or like, you know, wave or whatever. But then after like they drive off or whatever, or like they go past me, I start speeding up. And I'm just realizing now that like in this very moment, I'm realizing how nervous I am, because I know I'm really not exempt from that kind of treatment. I know I'm not exempt from being abused by the police, because all it takes for them is to think that I'm doing something wrong. And then they'll be stopping me in the next 2 minutes. And then in 5 minutes, I'll be dead, or I'll be laid out on the street with cuffs, or I'll be in the, or I'll be like, in the in the police station having to call my mom, talking about, mom, I got locked up, all of this. And I am scared, literally, that I don't want that to happen to me. Yeah, and I feel like we can't call the police. Like if something is going on or something about to go down, I'm not calling the police. I don't care. I'm just not calling them. And I feel like if we can't call the people who are supposed to make us feel safe and are supposed to diffuse situations, then we have to feel like we have to start protecting our own selves. And if we feel we have to start protecting our own selves, then that just causes a whole chain reaction that kind of puts us in a bad place. You feel what I'm trying to say? And I feel like we should be able to trust the police, which is kind of sad that we can't. Yeah. That's really all I have to say.
Thank you, Kiara. Adriana, you care to share?
Like Kiara said, I really don't have like a personal experience with police brutality, but I like, from word of mouth, I hear about like different people, like minorities, getting killed by police in Delaware. And I don't hear on the news or anything. And as you were talking about with the LEOBOR and the foyer earlier, I was like, this is exactly what happens in Delaware, and more people need to hear about it, because just like not hearing about police brutality in your own state is like wondering, like, I don't know, it's like really wrong. And people who don't understand like police brutality that happens to minorities and police brutality in general, they act like people say that white people get brutalized by police more than Black people or minorities, but by ratio, our minorities are getting hurt, killed, and brutalized by our police officers, the ones who are supposed to protect us. And it's really like Kiara said, who are we supposed to call when the people who abuse us and kill us, who are we supposed to call then? And we've resorted to different things, like just relying on ourselves and stuff like that. That's really all I have to say.
Wow, well, you really said a lot, like both of y'all did, man. And like, dang. Hold up. Y'all stories and y'all input are very touching, yo. Like, I can't make this up, man. Like, yo, something gotta be done with LEOBOR and FOIA, man. To make things better, to bring the trust back, to allow our youth to feel safer. Um, it's just unreal, man. Like, LEOBOR's cloak of confidentiality has fueled incidents of police abuse by making it virtually impossible to discipline police officers accused of excessive use of force and other types of misconduct. I mean, to the point it got our youth scared to be in their communities. No other Delaware public employees enjoy equivalent protection when it comes to disciplinary matters. Transparency, accountability, and public access to police misconduct records are necessary for due process, a fair criminal justice system, trust between our police and our communities, and for trust within law enforcement. It has to be amended. LEOBOR and FOIA have to be amended for us to even begin to try to trust the police and to be able to hold them accountable. You should not be able to make these mistakes with people's lives, having people living in fear and not be held accountable. It's not right. And I'm gonna tell you why it's not right, because our youth are scared to be in the streets of Wilmington, man. And it's sad. And we got mothers and relatives of people out here hurting. Like, it got me hard to do this. I didn't know this was gonna be this hard to do this. So I'm gonna pass the mic, man, and let y'all hear from another person with their personal experiences. Jonda, please feel free to share whatever you think that people need to hear on this evening.
Hello, everyone. Wow, honey, if you basically covered everything, whereas though listening to the two young ladies and listening to what you said, my family was violated with everything that you said. Excessive force, no transparency, no type of nothing when my son Yaheem Harris was basically gunned down by the Wilmington police 2 years ago. So yes, it's very, very scary, and it's very, very disrespectful. It's very, very hurtful. I am totally against police brutality. I experienced it myself. I say all the time, if they ran them cameras back down in turnkey, a lot of us will be, you know, a lot of the Wilmington Police Department actions will be questioned, because I know several times I done got my hand bend, extra bend, and I'm a female, and you got the baton, you have everything, and I'm in handcuffs. So I experienced police brutality, and then when it happened to my son, and they basically was just disregarding our human rights by not telling me anything. Oh Lord, it took such a long time to find out who the officer was. All kinds of things. I can go on and on and on and on about this situation. And I stand against police brutality purposely for what happened to me in the past, along with what happened to my son. It's not nice, like you said, who are we to call? Sometimes you get in this situation, you like, I'm not, I don't even want to call the police, because I don't even know how they gonna, really treat the situation. And then when they show up, they're so disrespectful. It's like they just don't respect nothing about you as a person. And I feel as though it's because of the authority that they have. And it makes me feel like some of them is just power struck, So I listen to these young ladies speak, and I have nieces, and I have my own children. I have a 10-year-old, well, excuse me, 11-year-old, and I feel as though he experienced police brutality. When they raided my home, I feel as though he was being, you know, brutalized by just telling a 10, 11-year-old to put their hands on their head. And, just, I really, really feel as though that they really need to change a lot of the way they police us. First and foremost, they need to have some type of respect for us, especially when they come to our homes. You know what I mean? I have a very, very big problem with that. And a lot of time, police brutality is not always physical. Sometimes you can just be not understanding something, and they'll just change the whole narrative of a situation. So I really, really think that yes, Delaware need to change some laws. I think that our police officers need to have more training. I also think that when someone has been hurt, shot by the police, I really think that they need to communicate with the families a little better than what they have been. And I know from firsthand, it took me forever to even find out anything other than what my son could have told me. I say this all the time, I'm still waiting for that phone call that they promised me from the day that my son was shot 4 times in 2019. And I really feel as though I deserve that phone call, even if it's to say, I'm just calling to see how you guys are doing. I don't have any closure from the Wilmington Police Department, and that's very, very heartbreaking. On top of the fact that now we have 2 other young men who, have been assaulted by police officers. So these reforms that need to be amended, I stand 100% on them. My organization, Justice for Injustice, this is what we all about. We're all about, we're totally against police brutality. And we offer moral support, a range of things. We're just getting started. And my son's situation prompted me to basically put this organization together, because I said, wow, if I went through this and if this happened to somebody else, it's hard. It's hard where they telling you, they switching you from this person to that person. They not telling you anything. I don't know if I'm standing next to the officer in the grocery store. I don't know nothing about my assaulting. So selling. So it's just very, very disrespectful to human race that, they feel as though they could just treat us any type of way. So, I would just like to say that, keep on fighting, keep on standing up for what you feel as though is right. Because trust me, things work out. Things work out. And I can honestly say I've been praying alongside of the Moses family, and look what just happened today. You know what I mean? And it took us forever to get a video. It took us forever to get some answers. And by the grace of God, they are getting some answers quickly, and I'm just so happy for them for that, because I'm telling you, I think I went a couple of months not knowing nothing other than what my son could tell me. You understand? So I would like to put out there that some kind of way I would like to try to put together a workshop, whereas though we are educating our young adults, preferably the ones who's about to get their driver's license. And I want to get together with someone, I don't care if anyone interested in the near future, whereas though we put together workshops and introduce this workshop inside the classroom, because that driver's ed education class in school is not it. Okay. You get your best experience on the road. So with that being said, I would like to try to put together, whereas though we do a workshop and we're basically teaching our young adults or whoever needs it how to conduct themselves during a traffic stop or anytime that a police officer is approaching you, because we violate our own rights by letting them violate us because we don't know. So I think that that education is needed. My son is doing well, thank God, and I still worry about him when he go out here. You understand? I worry if he's going to get pulled over, and he has a license. He had a license then. So when his situation had happened, he had a license. So um, you just we just got to keep spreading the word out here in the community that we got to just try to be safe and do the best you can as far as cooperating with whatever it is that the officers may be saying to you. And then now they got something where as though as soon as you get pulled over, you can have some witnesses or some type of thing they got on your phone or whatever. Protect yourself at all times because it's getting scarier and scarier. After Jerry McDowell, it should have never been the ones that followed after that. If all this stuff would have been paid attention to, that's how I feel. And it might be many more. And it's sad that a lot of people don't start chiming in until it actually happens to them. And it is what it is. And I just pray that the youth that's on here speaking, that they pass their information on to their peers. And I have my son sitting up here, he's listening, and usually he's in the room playing on a game and he's interested. Okay, he's sitting here, you understand? So I just pray that whatever the fight is, that we just keep on fighting, and that we stick together and get these laws changed, because you took on this job to protect and serve, not to kill and judge. And it's like I keep calling it double jeopardy. It's like they want to lock you up, they charge you up. First of all, they charge you up like the list is like this, but then when you get it's like this, and then they want to beat you up, slam you all around. Like, come on, you understand? And then what's bothering me the most, and no disrespect to anyone on this panel, it's always seeming to me that I haven't heard yet, and I might be mistaken, but here lately I haven't heard yet that it was a Black officer. I did hear was a Hispanic, and a white officer here in these last couple of incidents with these young Black unarmed men, and that bothers me. Now, if it was some Black officers and they had, then okay, all right, you know what I mean. But it's bothering me that these people are coming into our community that's not the same skin color. They taking us and basically just treating us as, like they say, how they treated us back in the day, slavery days. You understand? It's like a lynching type of, down low lynching, or however you may see it. But again, going back to the workshop, I really, really want to push to see what I can do to get a workshop like that started, because sooner or later my 11-year-old, he'll be driving, and I don't think nowhere in the school teach you that. And I want to be able to teach the people in our community, and people who just want to know how to conduct yourself when you're being approached by a police officer. You understand? Because all this news, all this stuff that's happening in the media, people is scared, make a sudden move, and then pow, or anything can happen. We just heard an officer say he heard a busted window that his partner made, and that caused him to shoot somebody. Like, come on now, you understand? So, and then like you said, when you want answers, and you trying to um see what happened, they got everything sealed, closed, and like, come on now, what is you trying to hide? Because we want to see it on both sides. I always said, whatever pizza say, I gotta accept it. You understand? If that pizza show something that I need to see, rather it's right or wrong on my son part or the police officer, I want to see that. You understand? So with that being said, we gotta just keep on going. You understand? We
That's
got
right.
We gotta stick together.
Yeah, keep it going.
I mean, I don't know it all. I'm learning as.
But check this out, John. That you made an excellent suggestion, and you got people in the Zoom comments like, "Great idea," and like,
Yes.
your voice is so powerful because
Right. Yes.
you speaking right to it, and I can enjoy your energy because I'm a person all about solutions too.
Right.
So you didn't just, when I asked you to come in here and just share your story, you're not just sharing your story, but you also come in with solutions because we all want to see change, right? And I don't want to harp on it, but the real change to what we want to see for that transparency and accountability comes to amending LEOBOR and FOIA. So now that everybody's looking, I hope y'all get a little bit familiar with LEOBOR and FOIA. I want you to understand that, you know, when Marquise was going through his situations and stuff, that didn't cause Delaware elected officials to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? The fact that Kiara and Adriana is basically scared to do what they do in the streets of Wilmington and legally not doing nothing wrong. They don't even want to interact with the police. That didn't lead our politicians to do anything. Unfortunately, when the cops killed Bam, there were no changes made, no laws. John, did your son's situation, nothing has changed, right? But when national attention poured out last year after Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and the world and the country realized it's not just a Delaware thing, it's not just a St. Louis thing. They doing this all over the country. Like you said, John, they're basically coming into Black communities and using their judgment and authority to decide who can have their freedom and who can have their life.
Right, yeah.
And it's not right. And when we got fed up and began marching and protesting and really speaking as one voice, our legislators said something then. Yeah. In fact, the Delaware Black Caucus 8 months ago came out and made a pledge to start a law enforcement accountability task force that will look into these issues, and it will have subcommittees and it will have community input, right? Well, for one, on the task force, it's not many community. I don't think it's any community people. Mm-hmm. I'm on the subcommittee. They put some community people on the subcommittees because we was raising our voice saying, how you gonna do something for us and you already starting off wrong, not even trying to get our input on what needs to be done, right? Mm-hmm. Now, with the formation of this task force and the subcommittees, it's been 8 months and the task force still doesn't have any recommendations for lawmakers, right? My job as with the ACLU and the Campaign for Smart Justice, we introduced something through my subcommittee as a draft bill, the legislation. So I just want to share with the community and the public today, our local politicians and legislators have suggested solutions and a drafted format on how they can move on this and move on this now. But they're waiting for the task force to go through its process, to come out with recommendations, and then do something. And me personally, I'm here to say, we got a sense of urgency now.
Right.
Our kids are scared now.
Right.
John just still doesn't have any closure right now. And somebody else that I'm sure doesn't have any closure is going to share their story with you next and let you know how they feel about their situation and what's going on with their experiences with the police in Delaware and in Wilmington. Keandra, you ready to talk to the people?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak and be in front of the panel and everybody who's listening. My name is Keandra McDowell. My brother's name is Jeremy McDowell. He was murdered by Wilmington police September 23rd, 2015. He was shot 17 times, 16 times by four officers. They've released a false narrative out to the community, what they said that took place on a murder, I call it the execution of my brother. something has to be done. I said this back in 2016 that there will be another Jeremy McDowell. And unfortunately, in 2021, there will be another Jeremy McDowell. Why? Because we have our legislators. I say plan is what they're doing. They have no problem asking certain people for more money for the police officers for whatever it is that they need. Why is it so difficult and so hard for them to pass these laws? It's not difficult at all. We need them in our community. It's just the things that we need is simple. It really is simple. But if the community is pushing for one thing and we have our legislators pushing for something else and playing around with it, it's not going to happen. My feeling towards the law enforcement community task force, I think is bogus. I don't understand how the word community could be anywhere in there, being as though there's nobody on the community on that task force. So basically we have a whole task force full of retired police officers, retired people who already had their hands in whatever it is in Wilmington. Just like when it's a police involved shooting, we have the police investigating the police. What do we expect to get out of that? It's so many, so much I can go on and talk about it. We need to have a board. The community needs to have a board. We need to have a board that we can, when something happens in our community with police involved shootings, that we can get together and investigate the police. I don't understand, why is it that officers' disciplinary actions are closed and we can't see in public, but we pay the police, but we can't see their disciplinary actions. I think it doesn't make any sense. If we're able to see that, we wouldn't have an officer who was involved in my brother's execution. He wouldn't have been on the force long enough to go to harm and try to kill John Brown's son, Yaheem Harris, if we had took care of that back in September 23rd of 2015. And there's another officer in Dover who I believe kicked a young man in the face, and then he went to work in another department and he ended up killing somebody there. There's something has to be done. Police do need better training. That's where it starts at. See, police are trained to look at us as convicts. They're trained to look at us like we're just, I don't know, all criminals. They're not trained to use their tasers. They're trained to aim, shoot, and kill. That's what they're trained to do. They treat the area that they are supposed to be looking after as if they're in Iraq. This is not Iraq. This is a community with children. We have families here. The first thing that you grab as a form of weapon should never be a gun. You should never come to a situation that is already hostile. You're a police officer. You're supposed to come in and assess the scene and see what's going on and see if we can come to some type of agreement to fix the situation, not make it worse. And that's my problem with Wilmington officers, with Delaware police officers in general. I don't understand why police are held at a higher pedestal than us. I just don't understand that. We have a law in Delaware that states as long as an officer feels or says that he is threatened, he or she can kill you. No matter the evidence, no matter the video footage, no matter anything that's saying otherwise, because that officer says, I felt threatened for my life, that's why I killed so-and-so. They're going to get away with it, which is why the officers got away with what happened with my brother, executing my brother. I believe that it needs to be a clause somewhere in the police handbook or when they're being trained that an officer, when you come onto a scene, you go to the other officers and find out what's going on. You don't just come to a scene and say, show me your hands, show me your hands. And within the third second, you shoot somebody in the neck in reference to my brother's case. It's so much about Wilmington's laws and Wilmington police that needs to change. I really don't know where to start. I'm hoping that eventually that we all can come together and figure it out. Because if not, like I said, there will be another Jeremy McDowell, there will be another Lamar Moses, there will be another George Floyd, there will be another Breonna Taylor, there will be another Audrey Aubrey. It's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. It's just like a child. When a child does something and you as a parent that you know that they're not supposed to be doing and you say nothing to them and don't hold them accountable for what they're doing, they're going to continue doing it. So that's how I look at police officers. If they continue to get away with executing and murdering unarmed Black and brown people, they're going to continue to do it. They have a license to kill. And we need to snatch their license to kill and start this whole process back over, because there's no way that an officer should murder somebody and then get sent home on a paid vacation to live comfortable with their family while the family of the victim is sitting home torn apart with no peace. That makes no sense to me at all. And something needs to be done. We need to have some type of community board where we can hold officers accountable, where we can look at their disciplinary actions, where we can investigate. Something has to be done. It's too much. And it's not going to stop until these police officers are held accountable for their actions. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Keandra, for just, again, coming to the table with solutions. Anybody watching and hearing this, like, we not just up here complaining. We got solutions. We know what will make it better, what will create trust in our communities, what will allow us to feel safer in our communities. And everything that you've heard on this evening could be started with amending LEOBOR to make cop disciplinary records accessible to the public, and to amend LEOBOR and FOIA in a manner that would allow us to create effective civilian review boards. Wilmington could be the model. Wilmington City Council already has a resolution to create a civilian review board. And this cannot be done without our legislators representing us in Dover amending LEOBOR and FOIA so it could be effective. That is step number one to get into these solutions. It's not right. If a teacher is accused of not teaching correctly or harassing or being verbally or physically abusive to a child, that teacher is going to be held accountable. Anybody, except for police in the state of Delaware. And it's not right. And even if that's the way it's going to be, we should at least allow for civilian review boards so that we can look into it. And as a community, we can decide, oh, okay, that person was in a wrong, they deserved it, even if they didn't deserve it, or no, that person was absolutely not in the wrong. The police did not follow policies and procedures. It's understandable. They make cop justifications. What about the person experiencing? It's not understandable for me to react. When you pull me over, me personally, a community advocate, I got pulled over 3 weeks ago. Just riding through Washington Street in Wilmington, trying to get from one side of town to the other. And I hold myself responsible. My tags expired. My tags were expired. I got pulled over. By the time they came to my car, it was 5 police officers. All right? They came to my car. In the course of interacting with them, I was asked to step out of my car. I was patted down. And I felt like the leading cop was aggressive. So I understand, how do you expect a person to respond? Thankfully, I'm mature enough and forward thinking enough to have to say, I need to chill out. Just let them be police. You know what I'm saying? If you respond, they'll have you like, oh, look, community advocate, beat up by police, being aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Nah. So that's why I drop tears when I hear the youth thinking the same thing. Oh, here go the cops. Let me chill. Let me let them breeze through so I don't have no problems. This is bred within us, man. And it's real. And we can only start by being more transparent and holding these dirty cops available, man, or even a good cop that makes a mistake still needs to be held accountable. I have some other closing remarks. Before I do, though, I was notified that Kiara has something else that she wanted to say to the people.
Yes, I do. Actually, I just remember something else that I want to say. It was one night and I go downstairs and like I look through the blinds and I see all these like red and blue lights and it's like 25 police officers outside. I lied to you all night. Each end of the street is blocked off and I'm like, well, what is going on? And they're all surrounded by my brother's car. I said, oh my Lord. I go downstairs and I'm like, Amir, it's like 25 police officers outside by your car. He comes upstairs and he looks, he's scared to go outside. I'm like, Amir, I'm like, you need to wait. I said, you need to stay right here. He's like, no. So he goes outside and he was like, y'all, what's up? Right? Or he's like, what's going on? Because they're all just surrounded by his car. And I said, look, and I don't think that what I had to do, I shouldn't have to be doing it. I was 14 at the time. I shouldn't have to be doing that. So what I did was I stepped outside and I went by my door and I started recording. I said, look, not today, not my brother. Y'all not about to get him. And then I'd be no evidence or enough or something like that. And I started recording. I said, look, to who brother, not mine. And yeah, and it was a scary picture. Like the picture, like I could just picture it in my mind. It looked crazy. It was 25 police officers and they was all like surrounding him. It wasn't like they had like their guns out or something at him, but it was still scary to see. And they were talking to him like, is this your car? Where have you been in the last couple nights? And long story short, they had the wrong car. It was a car that they had been chasing and they thought that that was the car. But I'm like, that's still scary to come out your house and see 25 police officers in the night surrounding your brother at 14 years old. I'm sorry, but I don't think that should be happening. And then you still scared that you have to record because you know, and you've heard about this and you've heard about stuff like this happening. And I said, oh my gosh, Lord, what is about to happen? Yeah. And I just thought that was an important story to share, especially because a lot of kids do go through that at like young ages like that. And that should not be happening. This is only a year ago? I'm 15. This is only a year ago. So yeah.
Nah, yeah, that is real. And I appreciate you remembering that and willing to share that because it shouldn't happen, Kiara. You're absolutely right. And the sad part about it, and why I'm so hype about it at this point, is because it don't happen in white communities, Kiara. They not out Hokessing 25 deep. They not in Greenville 25 deep. You know what I'm saying? It's so sad. It's parts of West Side. You see what I'm saying? They not up there by St. Elizabeth and Canby Park 25 deep. You see what I'm saying? They not up there by Pennsylvania Avenue and Charlie Square coming through those communities like that. And if you know what I know what's going on, the drug use and the drug selling in those communities is equivalent. You know what I'm saying? If I just be transparent and real, is white people get high just like black people. White people carry guns illegally just like black people. But in black communities, I like to say that they sit and pray. You sit and just wait and wait and wait. Oh, you ran a red light, come here. And you calling back up. Why are you calling back up on me for a red light? Where do they do these things at? They do them in our communities. And it's not right. And we can't even go to the police because when we make a complaint, the police is going to investigate the police. And then even if they figure out that he's doing something wrong, we're not going to hear nothing back. We'll never know. And due to Delaware law, they don't got it to us. And that's wrong. It's not right. And anybody listening today would agree that the stories you heard, this is not just me as an advocate, this is not just me as the manager of the Smart Justice Campaign. You heard from the mouth of our youth, 3 youth today, through the mouth of a relative, somebody's sibling. You heard from a mother on today the experiences that we're experiencing in communities all across Delaware. And these are common experiences for Black and brown people. This ain't nothing new or strange for us. The only thing new, and I'm trying to make it not strange, is the fact that we come in with solutions and we are informed on exactly what the problem is and exactly how we could fix it. So my call to action and my closing remark today is for anybody who watched this, heard this, or even just glimpsed at it for a second. contact your legislators tomorrow and let them know that you would like for them to support and uphold amendments to LEOBOR that would allow police records to be, disciplinary records to be accessible to the public, and that would allow us to create effective civilian review boards. Your senator and your rep, if you don't know who your senator or rep is, you can go to Delaware General Assembly, Google it, and take you right to the website. And right on that homepage, it is your legislative locator, right? We gotta call the politicians. This one right here, we got a viable solution right now. And so to prevent, to one day, hopefully we can say, we're confident it won't be another Jeremy McDowell. There will never be another Lemon Moses. To be confident in saying that, our legislators have to do something. They have to do something now. We don't want them to keep having to do the research and the homework. Thankfully, we did have people from the community that were on subcommittees. We did the homework. For the past 8 months, we've researched what's been done in other states. We researched what the issue is with Delaware law, and we've suggested it to the task force as a whole. We ain't gotta wait 6 months for them to figure out what they're gonna do with it. We need legislators in Delaware to move on it and move on it now, right? And in closing, I do want to shout out one elected official who did decide to do the right thing. I like to believe because he likes to side with the community many times, but I know it's a fact because of that pressure that was put on. And Matt Meyer making the decision to release that footage to the public today, that was a good move by Matt. I know I definitely support that in doing that. I've always rocked out with Matt, me personally, but I do know it was efforts from our community activists and from the consistency of the family. The family was not content. They said, we've seen it, now make it public. And this is why we need civilian review boards. We are not comfortable with police investigating police. When something happened, we need an independent body that can have access to all the information. You don't have to make it public during the investigation, but you need to give us access through a body or a board who can come, and they can come to their decisions and of what happened and their recommendations on what should happen, right? And then ultimately, we know it falls into the cops' hands and the politicians' hands to make sure they're held accountable. But we can't let cops keep covering up the wrongdoing of cops. And I do want to say, as an employee of the ACLU, we do know and understand that not all police officers act in this manner. You do have, not all cops are bad cops. We understand that. But if you are a bad cop, and if you are instilling fear and unjust acts in our communities, we want you held accountable. I appreciate everybody for viewing on this evening. I definitely want to give a big thank you to Marquise, Kiara, Adriana, Jonda, Keandra. Thank you all for sharing. I definitely am available to y'all if y'all want to stay plugged into what's going on and get more involved with some more of this smart justice reform that I'm on. Definitely stay connected with me because I want to see change, but I can only do it with the people. You know what I mean? It's strength in numbers. Like John just said, we're going to keep fighting this fight and turning up the pressure because we want to see things where we can have comfortable and trusting relationships with the police to ensure our streets are safe, and we don't have to worry about being victimized and brutalized by cops. Thanks everyone again. Peace.